Sentinels are currently undefeated in Masters Toronto, but they have faced all Chinese teams thus far. And while Wolves are great, Billy really aren't. And they are, in fact, eliminated already from Masters Toronto in the Swiss stage. In this video, we're going to go ahead and take a look and see, are Sentinels actually having good gameplay? Or is the quality of these games not the best from their opponents? Now, don't get me wrong. I don't think China is especially a weak region. Now, 2 years ago, when Bustio said he would never lose to a Chinese team, I think that they started to be on the come up around then. Obviously, they won champs last year, but they were definitely a weaker region for a while there. But we're going to see just how weak some of these specific teams are. I'm Lionzblade. If you could go ahead and comment your top 5 VCT players of all time for me to settle an argument that I'm having, that would be wonderful, and let's get into it. Anyways, immediately after winning Pistol, they then throw the next round, but let's take a look at how it happens. So when Billy over here decide to go towards C, Sen seemed to think, as kind of evidenced by these people not rotating, that Zelsis's stinger shots are just going to kind of scare him off, right? As you can see here, the orb and the stinger, no one is moving on the side of Sen. They're scared about over-rotating, so I assume that they thought this would scare off Billy. This was not the case, as they go for a hard hit here, right? Their raise does what I want to do when you guys don't subscribe. But Russia up here does a beautiful and almost perfect smoke for the situation. Instead of watching the guy kill himself, watch Russia here. Boom, boom, TP's into the smoke, but not only does the smoke do that, give him a way into the site, after he kills John, it also makes it to where Zelsis can't get a comfortable fight against him. Now, all of that was probably not going to lose you the round, but then Levius here decides, yeah, I'm just going to be the greatest Ghost player in the history of the game. Full blind here, gets a third kill, and now Zelsis is just cooked. He's been isolated from the fight with that smoke. Now he has to try and 1v4 retake into B, where they've picked up all the guns. So not a great round from Sentinels there, but also just very well played by Billy. But I think, honestly, that was more of a very well played situation by Billy than it was a complete throw by Sentinels. Great Omen smoke. Now you're probably thinking, wow, that Vice was locked in there. I wish I could do that in ranked, and you can, with the help of Flow State. Flow State is something, take it pre-ranked and you will be locked in for the entire duration of your gaming session. No crash, no nothing. If you don't believe me, that's fine, understandable. I'm the analyst. Ask about the players. These are tier 2 professionals on very good teams here, vouching for it working in professional play. It'll definitely work in your ranked lobbies. So go ahead. If you want to get good at rank, start taking the game seriously, use code LIONS and click the link in the description for 10% off to go ahead and try out some Flow State. Again, code LIONS, click the link in the description. Let's get back to the video. Now, I do actually really like what Sentinels do here on the first gun v gun round because of how the economies went. So this TP by Bang and this nade combo forces Billy to give up this mound control. Now it's firmly in the hands of Sentinels, but not too firmly because they then have to quickly give it up after all this util. But this wall goes up right there at the perfect time. It's been down. Now the Sentinels wall here goes up right after those picks. It was honestly probably called for before that, but you get those 2 picks, you get the wall up, and now 3v5, you should win this. And I also love how they're playing pretty passively here. And what I mean by that is, with what Narrate is doing here on the A site, is he's playing completely alone. He goes ahead for spam and then completely gives this up. He doesn't want to risk a fight. He's not over aggressing. This is good Valorant. No matter who you're playing, this is how you would want to play the game here. Also, their policy of not over-rotating that kind of burned them on the second round is really helping them out over here because Zelsis knows where everyone is right here. He's going to end up getting a read on, hey, Levius is here because of a flash that gets broken. Very good stuff. And then obviously Zekin able to get this kill, and it pretty much wraps the round up. They end up saving after that. But great round from Sen. So what we've kind of learned here is that Sentinels are willing to fight aggressively for space and then give it up and play passively when up numbers. This is exactly what you want to do, right? You don't want to be over aggressive once you already have the advantage. You need to know when to give it up. Sentinels did a great job of that. But after those rounds I just showed you, Sentinels kind of fell off, to be quite honest with you. Now it's 5-7. If you lose this pistol, you might be cooked if you're Sentinels. Now, they do get very lucky. And what I mean by that is after this bit of B main, you know, we're going to fight for it. No, we're not. Fine, you can have it. This door gets open. Now, you can't see it on the minimap because Lotus doors only show when they're not opened, apparently. Thank you, Valorant. Let's buy the next bundle. But you could have done a crunch here onto mound from Billy. That's the threat of what they're going for anyways. Now, they don't end up doing that, instead running back to B, and it ends up just being a 1-for-1, but that crunch could have definitely ended your round if you're Sentinels. Now, Zelsis for some reason thought he could shoot, and he bought a Sheriff and doesn't have a wall. Now, he does end up clutching the round, but just in general, this isn't something that you want Zelsis to have a Sheriff and not have a flank wall for, but it does end up working out. As you can see, Narrate here is just jumping around, having a great time, 1-for-1 trade, but as I said, the flank wall didn't hurt them because no one was flank. Then I do love how Billy play this here. You have the person behind and they're baiting the entire time. They're baiting for Knight here because they know, okay, get attention over here. Knight gets 1, Knight gets 2, and then Zelsis in a 1v2. I think Billy would take that most of the time. Obviously, it doesn't work out here, but I think if you told Billy, hey, would you put Zelsis in a 1v2 situation? And then they would go, yeah, we would do that, because 10% chance he does this, stands up out of his chair, 90% chance we win the round. They're good with that. Now, thankfully for Sentinels, they were actually able to win that round after pistol, but this round is hilarious. The only way that Billy gets stomped like they do is if they lose this round, which obviously they do, but I just find this hilarious. Almost all of Billy's utility is used up, right? You just used your Viper Molly, you just used a ton of Fade util, you just used your satchels, you've used everything here within the first 10 seconds, and then just run away. This round is unintentionally hilarious because it's literally now just Billy trying to scamper back to get where Sentinels are. Sentinels go to B, they're like, oh, you know, they pop the thorns, I don't like it here. All right, run away to C and just we're gonna go C. And now, oh, there's Vice util here. We don't like that either. Okay, Narrate, try and trip it out. He's actually unable to get that wall out, as you can see right here. But then, guess what? We're running away from here. We don't like it here either. We're going to run all the way back to A. And as a bit of a side note, this is why I am very Yoru-pilled. If Raze was Yoru, then I think you get him inserted right here, even though there is that threat of someone being lurked up with the Viper Wall. That's why it's placed, actually, in case you didn't know, because you can get that, like, you have to be in such a weird position if you're Billy to get this information, where normally you could just cross towards rubble. So Omen right now is just jiggling. Obviously, the wall isn't up, as you can see there, so they're not too worried. Anyways, just Yoru-pilled moment. I wish Yoru would have been here, because then I feel like Raze could have gotten inserted here. Probably got 1 or 2. However, Billy do get a bit unlucky this round, to be quite honest with you, because while Omen is getting ran down and they have been caught beautifully by Sentinels abusing their over rotations, Wizzy probably should have been able to kill John here. He was just getting held. John, even though he's 1 HP, is able to do that. Then Zekken gets a kill. Then Zekken satchels up here. Knight has no earthly idea he would be there. He gets that kill, and you win the round. Great job there by Sentinels converting that bonus round. Let's see if it holds up. But you guys know me. I'm not a Sentinels glazer. I am very far from it. So we're going to look at some of the rounds that they lost as well. And right here, Zelsis just gets completely caught off guard. He did not expect that operator to be in play, much less for someone to be just that far ahead of where he expected them to. So 20 seconds in now, Sentinels have to kind of regroup. They had the spike towards A, but it's now a 4v5 scenario, and they decide that they don't like A. Wizzy, or YZ, I apologize, has already had the op on the A-man line, so it's already all good there. But once they go C, you still do have to worry about this Vice setup. Again, Vice is still very strong, probably the best Sentinel. I am very astonished when I see people playing things like Cypher on Lotus, unless you are quite literally Nats, or you're playing the Fnatic comp with the KJ. There's no reason to have Cypher over Vice. But Zekken goes 1-for-1 with the ult. Narrate is blind in the sight. Fatal gets bang, and now 2v5 scenario, 2v4, and it's pretty much already over, right? So you do lose this, but if you look at Sen's money, it is just fine. You're not worried in the least about running out of bankroll for a couple rounds now. But Billy are actually looking like they can make a comeback here. Sentinels call a timeout. They're so worried about the ult economy. As you can see, you're 1 off of these very high impact ults and then 2 off of the Fatal as well. So Sen call that timeout. They have 2 people kind of watch flank. If you'll notice, Zelsa still has his wall even. They're just making sure they can try and deny any sort of aggressive flank push, whether it's as a team or whatever. But As they go over towards C here, they decide they don't really like the look of it. They tap door and just wait. Bomb is still down here, but look at what Billy are doing, right? You now have Omen enabled to watch this line. You feel fine, right? They could technically creep up with the wall up to like this area ish, but you still feel okay because Omen's right here watching this line. He has his paranoia ready in case any tomfoolery is going on. And now Sen feel like they have a good read, but Billy could have won this round. And maybe not the round necessarily, but if you get this first blood, you have a really good chance of it. As you can see, Wizzy here, he has a couple targets, but Zekken just takes his head off. Russia forced to get out. Now 4v5, Zekken is on site before Russia thinks that he can, so a nice little timing kill as he jumps down. Narrate is the one to get that timing kill right there. And Zelsa has a wonderful flank, by the way. This isn't a Vice wall, this is a Viper wall. He has a beautiful little lurk, right? But no one's home, so the lurk doesn't have any impact because they're not going for the round. 11-9, and I think this is the round that Sentinels kind of took control of the game again. Now, if you're Sentinels, the game isn't completely over yet because you do still need to worry about Billy's ult economy. As you can see over here, lots of high impact ults that they do have available, but you need them to be used in a way where they can't really be followed up on. Now, Bang just says, okay, well, forget the ults, forget everything. If you're dead, you can't use your ults, then the Fatal isn't really something that Billy are going to be able to fall and fight on, right? Like, even though these guys are scanned, you can't really effectively fight this. So Sentinels are able to win another round here, and they do end up taking the game. In conclusion, I don't think that Sentinels Run is as entirely fraudulent as some people are making it out to be, but I do think they have benefited a little bit from some weaker opponents. I'll be very glad to see them go against some better teams. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to subscribe if you're still here and use code LIONS for 10% off of any NeuroOptima products. I'll see you guys next time, and peace.